We get a lot of questions about power purchasing agreements in the solar industry, and there's been a lot of changes happening recently. So I'm going to explain a little bit about what that is today. There's really two types of solar systems that can be installed for residential or commercial entities. And the fundamental question is, who owns the system? In a host-owned system, the residence, the homeowner, or the business owns the system, either pays for it self-financed or financed via a third party. They're the owners of the asset, and they claim all incentives, and they also fully benefit from the net metering savings directly with the utility company. In a PPA or power purchasing agreement, the system is owned by a third party, or a TPO, third-party ownership. In that scenario, the homeowner is not the owner of the system. They pay nothing out of pocket. The third-party owner pays the installer for the system, claims the incentives, any tax credits associated with it, SREC income, and they pass along a new contract to the homeowner that allows them to pay a lower rate for their kilowatt hour usage than they would be paying versus the utility. So for the homeowner, they get a typically 25-year power purchasing agreement with this third-party owner, and they pay a set or either a fixed or a gradually escalating kilowatt hour rate to that third-party ownership for the electricity that's generated over that period of time. The advantage is that they have nothing out of pocket, the maintenance is covered through the third-party ownership over that term, and they get a lower new fixed or, again, very gradually escalating electricity rate from that third-party ownership. One of the big changes in the solar industry is that in the past, both residential and commercial owners could apply for and receive the federal income tax credit. There's been a change in the industry in that at the end of 2025, residential homeowners can no longer claim the 30% tax credit, but commercial entities can if they do the right things. So third-party ownership of residential systems are still able to claim the tax credit and pass along some of that savings to the homeowner. So as a result, a PPA agreement payment is typically going to be lower than a host-owned system that is traditionally financed without the tax credit. So let's take an example. In Pennsylvania, the average kilowatt hour rate for both generation and distribution costs is around 18 or 19 cents. With a PPA, you might be fixed at 15 cents across the full term of the 25-year payment, which is allowing you to lower your monthly electric payment via PPA on an indefinite basis. So in summary, with a host-owned system, the homeowner owns the system, owns the asset. They either invest and self-finance in that system or finance it via third party. They claim the incentives and they directly net meter with the utility. With a third-party owned system, the third-party owner pays for the system, claims the incentives, and sets up a new agreement, a power purchasing agreement with the homeowner that allows them to buy the generated electricity at a contracted rate that is lower than what they would have been paying with the utility company for typically a 25-year period in term. A common question is, what happens if I sell the house before the end of the term? In that scenario, the PPA simply transfers to the new homeowner. So it's seamless, and the new homeowner is getting a fixed electricity rate just as you were in your term. Usually at that point, it's even more attractive because electricity rates have risen over that, say, whatever interval time between the beginning of the PPA is to the time you sell your house.